chilling in another world with level 2 super cheat powers is the kind of isekai that everyone loves and enjoys whether they want to admit it or not. The pure wholesomeness and good vibes this anime gives off keeps you hooked and entertained while having you wonder what the absolute wet lettuce of a hero is going to do next. And I don't want to admit it, but that little blonde guy is low-key my favorite character. But with that being said, the protagonist Flio and his wife Rhys are very close third and fourth in terms of my favorite characters, because that number 2 slot is going straight to Belano. And yes, it is because she low-key kinda reminds me of a combination between Roxy and Nero from Black Clover. I don't quite know why she reminds me of that, but she does, and I love her for it. But that might just be my desire for more Roxy after watching Mushoku Tensei, so I'm gonna put that aside and genuinely say that this anime was just very, very enjoyable. I personally love the entire concept of this guy being rejected as a hero and effectively being told to die by the kingdom. But even though that happened, he still decided not to hate the humans and also decided not to hate the demons either, but actually befriend them as well. I mean, him choosing to do this pretty much meant that any normal isekai story is just non-existent. But that doesn't really matter when it comes to this anime because the characters themselves are just so enjoyable to watch. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, our MC isn't anything special. He's just a guy that's overpowered as fuck and extremely likable. But he also stands on business if he has to, and I kinda love that. And to be honest, the same goes with his wife. Those two are pretty much the main reason to watch this show because the romance in it is just fucking adorable. And I genuinely think that their relationship is pretty well rounded and well written. For once, we don't have an overpowered main character trying to build his dream harem, and we just have a genuine relationship where they have their own personal flaws and strengths, but they only choose each other. Although, to be honest, I wouldn't have minded if he decided to date Balirossa too, because she low-key a baddie, and for some reason, I just didn't really like the idea of a potential relationship between her and the demon guy. I know that I'm probably alone on this opinion, but I just didn't like the vibe they gave off. There was nothing between them in my opinion, and I'm just glad they didn't end up together in this season. And honestly, now that I think about it, that might just be because I wanted to see Gol end up with that cat lady that's always by his side, and I want Balirossa for myself. But with that being said, I genuinely did like the dynamic between all the characters in this anime. There were some that I wish we got to see a little bit more of, but it is what it is at the end of the day, and I still enjoyed them. And like I mentioned earlier, the golden-haired hero that we actually got to see a lot of is just genuinely my favorite character. I mean, that guy and his little waifu that follows him everywhere are literally the stars of the show for me, and it kind of makes sense since from the very start to the end of the anime, the blonde hero is just genuinely trying to be the star and even steal the role of protagonist in season 2 in that little end clip. And I'm kind of hoping that that's a little teaser that we will be getting a season 2, but I don't think I've seen anything say that a season 2's been announced. Anyway, I have to say a huge shout out to the princess too, because I'm so glad that she stopped him from being a hero and kicked him out, because having those two just wander around in the world made this whole having no real storyline or typical isekai plot worth it, because honestly, they just created the chaos for us, and shout out to them because they provided us with some brilliant content. But since I mentioned her, let's actually talk about the princess a little bit, because I just genuinely like her character as well. I mean, you kind of have to respect the fact that she just took her chance, stole the throne, apologized to the MC, and just wants to keep everyone safe. And if we do end up getting a second season of this, then I hope we get to see more of her, because I'd love to see her interact with Gol a little bit more and potentially find a way to bring peace between the demons and the humans. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, I don't know if we will get a second season or what to expect if we do, but I can imagine they want to aim towards peace between the humans and the demons, so I can see the princess having a pretty big role to play in that regard. And honestly, I hope we do get to see a second season, because this anime was just really, really enjoyable. I don't think by any means this anime was particularly groundbreaking or epic, but I think it is probably one of the best new isekais we've got in recent times. And overall, I'm going to give this anime a pretty standard 7.5 out of 10, because at its core, it's just a super cozy and wholesome anime and extremely enjoyable. But at the same time, it is just an isekai and it doesn't stand out like some others do. But with that being said, I genuinely do recommend giving this anime a shot, and I also recommend that you like and subscribe right hecking now, because one subscribe actually equals one subscribe, and I understand that doesn't really give you a reason to subscribe, but hey, at least I was honest, right? So while you respect the honesty and press that button, make sure you go ahead and feed your goldfish, pet your dog, and tell your dad he looks like Captain Underpants. Peace the fuck out.